This video covers the 4 floor warm-up components: cardio, mobility, activation, and movement prep. Cardio gets your heart going and gets you ready for your warm-up. Mobility allows you to loosen up your muscles and joints and get into that end range of motion before you start your climbing session. Activation targets the muscle groups used in climbing and turns them on so they're ready by the time you pull onto the wall. And movement prep is a way to simulate climbing movement off the wall and prepare your body for climbing specific movement. There are a lot of examples of different exercises in this video. You can build your own routine that works for you and your athletes based on some of the information provided. I hope you enjoy. For ankle squats, you want to try to keep your back a little bit more flat than I do and lengthen through the hamstrings. Duck feet looks ridiculous, but it's actually really important to warm up your ankle joints. You can make ankle proprioception harder by closing your eyes while you're doing this. You should aim to stand on your tippy toe for about 5 seconds and perform 3 repetitions per foot. Try to imagine you're sandwiched between 2 pieces of glass. No dipping forward with the shoulders. For wrist rocks, you want to go through each position and do 10 rocks. Some athletes love this exercise and others find it puts too much pressure on their wrists before they're ready to handle it. So listen to the individual, and if it works for them, great. If it doesn't, no big deal. The goal is to keep your thumb in contact with the ground and make as wide of a circle as possible. You can reverse the direction too. To fully activate your back muscles for this one, you need to make sure you're actively pressing your arms into the ground as hard as you can. Your lower back should also be flush with the ground and actively pressing down. Try to get athletes to imagine they're actually pulling and squeezing down on holds. Just the tension from imagining that activates muscles in a better way. This is a great mobility drill. You want to try to keep your knees as far apart as possible when transitioning from side to side. I like this one in warm-ups, but I also really like this one too at the end of a session if an athlete needs to work on hip mobility. This is a fun progression that really challenges the athlete's balance, memory, and coordination, and warms you up for a lot of climbing-specific movements, as you can imagine. I would recommend trying this one out yourself so you can learn the movement pattern correctly before you teach it. It's harder than it looks. This is another effective exercise that looks absolutely ridiculous when performing it. The goal is to shake your arms as hard as possible. Your arms want to make your body move. However, your body's job is to stay as stiff as a board and fully engaged. This will warm up your shoulders a ton. For elbow slides, you want to make sure when your elbows are going back, you're squeezing your back muscles together and engaging as much as you can. This is a great one to do with young athletes. You can pretend you're a T-Rex or a dinosaur and make funny noises while you do this. I thought I would include these move to move style shoulder mobility drills in case anybody wanted to try them out with their team. I've seen athletes do this before for a warm up, and it's kind of cool because it has some element of coordination. CARs stand for controlled articular rotations. You can do this with pretty much every joint in your body. I've put a couple CARs in here because these are the common ones that I see used in warm-ups. The goal is to activate strength through the end range of motion when you're doing this. You want to try to isolate the specific joint that you're working with, and the rest of your body should freeze and remain stiff as a board. You don't want to be compromising by arching your back or leaning forward. Keep the focus on the joint that you're targeting. Spine mobility is becoming increasingly important as the style of climbing, and comp style climbing in specific, evolves. This would be a good one to introduce to athletes. Your lumbar spine should not move at all when you're doing this exercise, and try to rotate only through the upper T-spine.